Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm really excited to have a unique conversation today for my show, anyway, is a meeting with Josh Helm today from Texas Best Construction. He's a Barnominium builder, and a lot of you guys know that my wife and I built essentially a Barndominium, a farmhouse on some land, and so we've had some good conversations here. But it's a unique conversation from a little bit different entrepreneur than what we typically have on the show, but a lot of the lessons are going to be applicable to you guys. So, Josh, welcome to the show.
Mike, thanks for having me.
Yeah. The funny thing is I think I told you this when you walked in, that I'm pretty sure we talked before we built our house, because there aren't, we're in East Texas. There's nobody. The town I'm in is only 2,200 people. There's no builders there. And though I've flipped hundreds of houses in Dallas, like none of my contractors, I haven't built one, and none of my contractors are going out there. And so I had to start from scratch. So we talked, and I think at the time you weren't going that far out. It's probably 90 minutes from town. And but anyway, it's interesting how paths cross and come back around.
Is. Thanks for reminding me that I get the job.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, hopefully you get a couple jobs in today's show. Yeah, so good to have you here.
No, it's good to be here, and I'm definitely excited to learn more about what you guys are doing here over at Investor Fuel. So yeah. I was pleased to learn about the opportunity.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking a little bit, so just some of it's based on my age, some of it's based on, I think, the way the market's been from COVID forward is there's this craze of people that want to buy land and have a ranch and, trade in their exotic car for a tractor or a Kubota or whatever. So I went from I've never owned a lawnmower as an adult to now I've got to mow 104 acres, and I actually enjoy doing it. I mean, sometimes I'm tired of it, but I'm also sitting in a cab with Bluetooth and can listen to music and things like that. But
absolutely, yeah. I think it's some of the seasons like what we've talked about that we've gone through in the past that sort of created a revival back to some of this generational living, going through the pandemic, going through COVID, all these things. Really, it did something for us.
Yeah.
Although it was a very trying time, especially with the economy and all the things.
Right.
But it did something for us mentally and probably spiritually to a lot of people that gave us maybe a direction to look back and say, hey, what was valuable to us back when? And a lot of people did kind of go back to, let's get some land.
Yeah.
Let's build a Barnominium or a ranch property.
Yeah. I think a lot of entrepreneurs always just know, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. I'm going to have to figure this out. And I think going through a few things like that accelerated that. People are just you start to question, what is this all for? Right. And then,
a lot of it, I think, multi-generational families needed each other. And we were sort of in that place at that time. We had built our Barnominium home in the 2015 era, somewhere in that range. And so as COVID rolled around, I was actually in the midst of building a Barnominium for my parents, who had taken over our home office. So they were living in my office where I'm at now, and kind of made the kitchenette place up there. Meanwhile, on the first floor had my in-laws and then my wife's grandmother who moved in with them.
Wow.
So we had all sets of grandparents right next door.
Yeah.
So during that time frame, I think a lot of people, but it was just a real, I think it'll be a good, joyful time for us to look back, even with all the frustration of things that were going on.
Yeah.
We had our family right there. We had some of the best dinners, because it was a collaborative effort,
You had some other people to do dishes for once.
Exactly. So, no, I think I think it reminded us, like I said, what we had back in the day, kind of a sense of community, and there's that side of it, and then there's the side where you just were locked down, right? You couldn't go out public, and so you wanted that freedom, maybe to get back out on some land and exercise some of the joy of what that can give you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I like to mow my pasture as well.
Yeah. So you didn't start as a builder or a Barnominium builder for sure. So tell us your backstory a little bit.
So if I'm telling a little bit of the backstory, always there's been construction. My dad had an overhead fire protection company, did a lot of multifamily residential actually. And so as a young teenager, I would work the summers with him. Spent most of my summers on an apartment complex sometimes. I remember my 16th birthday, we were working in a project in San Antonio, and just spent the whole summer down there working. And then right out of high school, I did college a little bit, ended up looking to go into ministry, to be like a worship leader actually for a church. But I worked with my dad doing AutoCAD design and some of the fire sprinkler design work.
Okay.
Spent some time doing that for a season before I try to make a run at doing full-time ministry. Well, it didn't take me long after I got married to realize that I needed a way to make money too. So the ministry wasn't quite going to do it at the time. So I started doing like roof sales and spent probably 6-7 years just chasing storms, doing that type of work, and was really successful at it. I really enjoyed that process. So much that my wife and I started our own roofing company. We ended up doing that for several years until the '08 housing market crashed. Our dream of having a roofing company really, really changed a lot of my mentality. So, I shifted my focus to diversify the things that I knew how to do. Was really sore about what roofing had done for me, even though I was skilled at doing it. But I just, I wanted something different, and I started doing more commercial roofing, stucco, those kind of things at that time.
Okay. And then how did the Barnominium thing come along?
So the Barnominium deal happened because as I diversified the type of work that I was doing, I started building some houses I was working with my cousin. Actually, I was in a partnership deal with him, and we were building some conventional homes. And so because I did remodeling, conventional home building, commercial roofing, manufactured stone and stucco and all these other kind of things. And so it's like whatever, right? Whatever pays. That's pretty much what I was willing to do in construction. But what really shifted me into the Barnominium was when my wife and I started our company, Texas Best Construction. We had built a Barnominium for my in-laws because they came to us and they're like, hey, we're going to sell our house and we're thinking about building out on your land. Which is always nice
of them.
Yeah, it's always nice to know that there's an opportunity for that. And so I did spend some time really thinking about it, and we found out, yeah, this could be a good thing. And so we spent a few years really planning that out, and I ended up drawing the plans on some graph paper, and we built a 75 by 40 foot structure. It was 2-story on one side, so we left about, I want to say 40 by 40 of it was for living. On the first floor, we had like a 1,500 square foot living quarters for my in-laws, 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a nice little setup. And then the rest, it's like was extra space. So we just decided we wanted to build like a large craft room for my wife, and a big office area for me so that I could do some of my roofing sales or some of my business work. And again, this started in 2015. 2016 is when we started Texas Best. This was a developmental shift once we built that structure before it became our office place. Didn't have any idea that that's what it was going to be, but that's what it ended up being.
That's how every entrepreneurial journey starts that way. Like you didn't know this is the path I was going to go down.
Right.
Trying to solve your own problem usually, and then you see, well, other people have this problem too. I need something, and I have a skill that I can help them with.
Yeah. And so we built our Barnominium right next door to our conventional home. Interesting story with the property was because of the '08 deal, we really needed a restart. Financially. All the sales and stuff was going great for us in 2011, but my wife had picked this house. It was sitting on a kind of a abandoned property. It's like a 3,500 square foot home, 2-story brick home on 10 acres that had been vacant for 2 years. Had quite a bit of trouble. It looked in despair, but she's like, this could be a place, and I'm like, wow, this is it. And so we went through a lot, ended up doing a short sale purchase on that property, which turned out to be the real blessing in it all, because we were able to get a steal of a deal for that property during that season, which now is a very, we did a lot of remodeling and all that as well. But I would say that's part of our redemption story. If I had a lot of time, Mike, I'd have to tell you a lot more about that. Just the ups and the downs, through that season. Starting Texas Best, though, was a new start. Really, we had been successful in the other, and we're like, hey, this would be a good place to go. We set out, we'll build some fences, paint some houses, do some roofing, remodeling, bathrooms, kitchens.
Yep.
That's how we set out with Texas Best. And the idea behind Texas Best was to really not so much to say, hey, we're the best. It was more that we wanted to just put our best foot forward. There's a scripture that says, whatsoever you do, do it as unto the Lord. That was really the whole mantra of Texas Best. And what kind of set our feet in that direction. But because we had built this Barnominium, we found, and we put a sign out in front, people started stopping. And we had several people that were like, hey, could you build us a Barnominium? And that, through just some of our remodeling and our connections through some of our other work that we were doing for several years of Texas Best, we weren't building Barnominiums. I would say 2018, 2019 is really when we kicked it off.
Yeah.
But
and then you did a few, and then you knew you were onto something.
We did a few, and then we made the mistake of putting it on YouTube, and that's where it really took off.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that, like your social media platform. I mean, you have a massive footprint. You've got 500,000 people on your Facebook group, a couple 100,000 people subscribe to your YouTube channel because you're creating content. We'll come back to the Barnominium kind of craze because it's also a very hot topic right now. It has been for a few years. But so what was the catalyst to say, like, let's put this on social media? I'm sure you had no idea at the time that it would become the craze that it has, or your channels would be so successful. But
right, we had no idea. It wasn't a calculated move, that's for sure. I had 130 subscribers already on YouTube. When we started the company, it's like I did this whole like work jam video. I did that, which kind of showed a little bit of everything that we do. And then I did another video that said, building your dream Barnominium in 4 minutes. Because we had built our Barnominium, it's like I just took a really bunch of photos and showed a video of that.
Okay.
Well, I came back to that, and it's like there's 20,000 views on that video.
Wow.
And you're like, what's this all about? Like I said, that had been going on for a couple of years. That was the first week we started business. I put that video up, but mainly just to show, you take all your best photos or whatever, and you put all that in a collection. It's like, and then I went to later. I had an assortment of remodeling that I was doing. I had probably 4 or 5 major remodels, where kitchen, bath, whole house remodels. And then I had a burnout house that I was doing for an insurance job. And, I was really needing some good quality photos, because my thought was on Facebook, this is where we really I felt like we had a real thing going, because I had like 4,000 or 5,000 people on Facebook who was following us there. And the pictures really seemed to stir up the engagement, and so I just wanted to be consistent. So I reached out to a friend of mine, photographer, who had been doing some real estate photography, as well as he had been doing YouTube as well, had a YouTube channel and stuff. But I reached out to him. His name is Drew Peterson, and he I hired him to come, and we just set a budget and said, hey, can you come every week and we'll just do some content? And he's like, yeah, we could do some YouTube videos and HGTV style and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? I don't know about that. But so things just started clicking, but I said, okay, we'll do it. We made some videos, really wasn't doing anything the first 6 months, much at all. We might have had 20 or 30 more subscribers, but at the end of the day, I liked the content and I liked what we were laying out,
Right.
So I was like, well, we're going to continue this. Then I had because we had several projects that were just in developmental, I didn't have a lot of like finished projects. So I started seeking out, try to find some finished projects, and we just, it just happened to be that my parents were going to sell their 10,000 square foot Barnominium. And it just clicked, I'm like,
Yeah.
we need to video that. My dad had built a Barnominium, and we have been seeing Barnominiums. You've seen them, I'm sure, over Texas for the last several decades.
Sure,
so the Barnominium is not a new idea, but we just it kind of fell in our lap because we did it out of necessity, and we wanted to put a good plan together to build them. And the rest is all favor and a lot of prayer and the Lord putting us in the right spot.
Yeah.
So
there's the lesson there for a lot of people. I mean, there's a ton of people. I'll just tell you, we have a podcast here, right? I mean, I bet you just in the real estate space, there are 500 podcasts that did a few episodes and have never come back to it, and they're just hanging out there, right? And there's a lesson there in
that sounds like our podcast,
being a hundred, but I mean, not giving up and just pushing through. And you kind of question, is anybody even watching this? Does it matter? And then at some point, there's a hockey stick moment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There, at some point, it's something that clicks around. Hey, this is really working if you stick to it.
Right.
I think people definitely quit because they don't see instant results. And like for me, the reason what kept me going is because I felt like with time, there would be an accumulation or a buildup. And I don't know why I was dumb enough to believe that, but it was true. And of course, you start listening and caught some Gary V through just association, hearing a lot of what Gary was saying about just, sharing you and sharing and bringing value and really just trying to be vulnerable. I feel like during that season, it really is part of the magical potion, because I kept thinking every time I make a video, I'm like, okay, who's going to come on here and tell everybody that I don't know what I'm doing, because that's really what you're thinking. You feel a little bit insecure if you're not in that authoritative place. And I just wasn't there. I was developing, but I was sharing.
We all are.
Yeah, I was definitely developing, and I'm still in that place today.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, maybe some of that secret there.
Yeah, and I think some of it is just documenting your real story. A lot of people that create social media content, it's not real, and your stuff's very real. On this show we have real conversations. Like we're not I sometimes question, like, why am I doing this? But I do it to have great relationships and build friendships, and who knows where that'll go. But I think just being real and having real conversations, it holds you accountable too, because you want to continue to level up because you put yourself, for one reason or another, under the microscope, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and I ask those questions as well. Like, what am I doing? Because there's a lot of challenges that come with not only being in construction business, but sharing that out there. So I could talk forever about all the many challenges that we've had as a business that is constantly sharing your work to the public while you're working for individuals. Like, there's competition, there's concern about why is this one ahead of this. Some of the immediate challenges that we've had, early on was with that, which ultimately, and I always tell people, like, look, we're a construction business first, right? Like, that's what we set out to do, to provide a service, to do a really good job. And the expression of that is to have the pride in the work that you do, that you want to share. But there's some days that you just, you realize the challenges are more, and you don't feel like sharing anymore because you're just not perfect, and there's not enough perfect to share.
Right.
So you have to, that's where that vulnerability comes. You have to be open to that too, because
people appreciate the imperfect.
They really want that.
Yeah.
They want to see that you're no better than them, and you're not.
Right.
We're all the same, right? We're fragile. We're loaded down with burden, and we're stressed to the max. But you got to find that strength on the day-to-day, and to go back to the principles that lead you to do a good job.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it.
Yeah. And so some of it is probably fate that you were getting into this at the time that this kind of craze was just taken off. So I'm going to ask you a question you might not have the answer to, but do you know what kind of happened with unit growth for Barnominiums in that era where you started? And I mean, it's definitely taken off, like, nationwide, but I don't, we don't have any bar charts to show anybody, but you clearly, you caught something early.
I've seen the bar charts, because if you search the trends, like Google Trends, you can definitely see that chart. And it is in that from 2016 to up to now, and you can see a dramatic chart increase from during that season.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't completely give COVID the credit, because I think it started a little bit initially before. But what's happened with the Barnominium is stylistic. People are now building them intentionally for a style. This is not just, it's not just a means to an end like it used to be. Mm-hmm. And that's where there's a lot of adjustments. There's a lot of financial calculations, because, the Barnominium today that we build today is as much or more than what you would build in a conventional home. You've got as much effort for efficiency and all of the performance that you want to have than what you used to do when, say, a rancher built a structure and wanted to corner off a place to sleep while he was there checking on his cattle on the weekends.
Yeah.
That's where we've come. And so now it's like, we're building an intentional home. And I think people should think differently about it. We want that on the financial side, right? We want them. Everybody wants to build a Barnominium that equals less money, but is valued at great amounts of money.
Yeah.
And I say it's like a get out of debt free card or something, where we can buy into something really cheap, sell it for a lot of money. But it just doesn't work that way. When you put the value there up front, it's going to have the value there at the end as well. And a lot of people are passionately upset because they cost more money, but it's everything that costs more money. It's not just Barnominiums.
Sure. And I think the definition of what is a barndominium is everybody has a different definition. I mean, I think there was a time where it was kind of utilitarian, right? It's like part storage and there's a little bit of living quarters. And the
Yeah.
truth is, I think we don't. I guess what we built, it's really more of a luxury farmhouse that has no storage. I mean, we have a garage, but we also have a separate barn, so it's not probably the classical barndominium, and
Hmm.
has a different look and feel than the traditional barndominium as well. But like,
Yeah.
I don't really care what anybody. It doesn't really matter what it's called, right? But I
Exactly.
mean, that's evolved because people want to get more out of their properties than they did in the past, maybe, right?
Yeah, and I kind of take the same position as you, Mike. It's like, well, I don't care what people call it either. At the time, Barnominium, when we're coining what a Barnominium is, it was understood, at least in Texas. And there's a lot of people who are passionately trying to gatekeep what you call it.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have a shop attached, now it's a shouse. If you have this, or if you have a shop attached, I guess. I don't know all the rules. But there's a lot of people in the northern areas that are coming up with their own lingo about it.
Mm.
But the initial first Barnominium where it started was somewhere way over on the east. I want to say maybe New Jersey. I can't remember exactly. But the first time was a horse ranch. A guy had the idea to build basically these barns that half was living and the other half was the horse stalls.
Mm.
So, it was in the newspaper. It was Barndominium was coined then at that point, and that was, I don't know how many years ago, but I don't know. I can't remember exactly when it was, but that's the earliest sight of that term. But what it's become today is far different. Like
Sure.
we're building sports barnominiums, and it's more of a style, I think, than anything. If free span structure is really where I draw the line, because if it's post frame, you kind of got those trusses involved.
Right.
You're doing that free span, or if you're using a steel structure, you're spanning. That to me has more of it's a barnominium. It could be post frame, it could be hybrid steel frame, it could be, a bunch of different things because there's so many ways to do it. You could stick frame it and call it a barnominium. One of our editors, as we ride around, he's like, "I'm starting to figure this out. Like, everything's a barnominium." It's like, to us, it is because
I think for a lot of people, it's probably more about the land than the home. I mean, they want a nice home, and for us, it's our second home, so we wanted something that was easy to maintain. So it's all steel structure, and we went above and beyond on some things that we hope would allow it to live on forever. And I mean, having flipped like hundreds of houses in Dallas, we've done a ton of foundation work, and we made sure that thing's never going to move out there. Like tons of drilled piers and massive slab. But it was just because I flipped so many houses. I'm like, man, I don't want this to be a problem in 3 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So I want this to go on for, generations to come.
Yeah. And I would say, based on experience, like we made some early mistakes ourselves, because I recruited some help when we built our barnominium in 2015. And, some of the help that I recruited were selling me on the fact that, oh, well, you don't have to do as much with your foundation because all your load is going to be on the outer perimeters. And so I kind of bought into that a little bit, but I have blackland soil. And so I've had problems with my foundation over there.
Yeah.
And I wished I would have done the way that we build today.
Yeah.
We do the geotechnical report. We do, engineered foundations, and we've got so much concrete that we're putting into this stuff. But we do it because it's a home, and we're building it to be a home. And people's largest investment, you don't need to skip. I don't feel like you need to do anything less than you would in a conventional home.
Yeah. I think that's one of the myths is like I was in a bunch of Facebook groups, and I'm looking when we're kind of thinking about this, and there's clearly a bunch of DIYers, people that are just going to do it themselves. And, I'm not a DIYer for that. Like I my hands are real soft. They don't need to touch any tools, but I would totally screw that up. So, but I think it's gone from like something utilitarian to I want to build something. The range is still there for everyone, I guess. But for us, it was like, we want to build a place to create a ton of memories for our family for generations to come. And so we want to build it right. We want it to be amazing. And, it's because of the land. We have 104 acres. We have all these ponds. Like, we got a lot of cool stuff. The house is just a part of it. But I think kind of the Barnominium craze is, not taking anything away from you at all,
No.
is as much about the experience of getting away or living away or living a little bit more off the grid or whatever it might be than the structure itself.
Absolutely. I would say the same thing. And that's what it was for our clients, but I mean, for my in-laws. But we've built for some people that have 1 acre tract.
Yeah.
We built a Barnominium, and it just so happens to be right outside the city. So it's like, but now it's like an attractive place. A lot of people would love to have in there. And some of the advantages for the type of structure that you build is why you want to get away from painting and having to paint your house every 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the Barnominium does for
Yeah.
people that are maybe looking to build something that's generational, that they don't have to maintain all the time.
Right.
And so other than maybe get a pressure washer, go out, wash
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah.
So you're kind of trading that brick and mortar or that siding for efficiencies, putting that back into maybe a little thicker wall system, having better insulation, air tightness, some of these things that really make up some of the performance of the home. I think those are some of the key advantages for us. It is a crazy, wild, I call it Barnominium or bust, the Wild West. Everybody will do anything to build something that you could just call a Barnominium. And for us, it's not about that. We just want to build a very high quality product that we can be proud of. Also that we don't have to look over our shoulders and worry about,
Right.
as we move down the road.
Yeah.
So that's for us, as a builder. It does get to be a little bit crazy though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's hard to work for people. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think for people too, truthfully, I've flipped hundreds of houses, but this is the first time I've ever built a house.
Mm-hmm.
And, there is always going to be friction probably between the person you're building for and the builder, because everybody has different expectations. Of course, just like everything in life, like the communication has to be clear, like probably a little bit more stuff should be documented than the average person had.
Right.
And things like that. Right. So, yeah.
It's challenging. It's a challenging world we live in, microwave society. Everything needs to be done today. But it's also hard, just there's so many logistical problems in our business. Like we are traveling 100-mile radius, which puts us maybe going 200 miles from one job to the next. So mobilization is a big thing, getting materials on site. It's so many more challenges being a Barnominium builder than if I could just line up in a neighborhood somewhere and start stacking them, right?
Yeah.
Much easier to do something like that.
Yeah.
But not to take anything away from those type of companies. But
Sure.
for me, it's been very hard.
Yeah. It's a different model
to develop that.
I know when we had materials that we were ordering from all over the country, right? It wasn't like we just went to the local hardware store and bought everything. It was stuff was being shipped in from other states, especially during the COVID era where they're like, we got, there's stuff that we got that was a little bit unique, and there's like that has to come from somewhere else. And then you get it and they screwed it up.
Windows, right? Was a hard
Windows, but we had board on batten satin, steel siding, which at the time was, I think it's become more popular, but it was somewhat unique. Not everybody's making that, or at least our color or whatever. Like, who knows?
There's a lot of great options on that now, especially. I think there's a lot of things that are developing.
Sure.
People are
yeah.
really coming along with it.
Yeah. So with the evolution of your business model, like it started, we talked about that, roofing, then you got into building, but eventually people they want to be DIYers. They need plans. They want you to just do a shell and they'll finish it out. There's all sorts of evolution that kind of has happened in your business and all of our businesses, quite frankly, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that a bit.
Yeah. So we didn't plan any of it. So that's always a good way to start. Well, wished we could have been more of a mastermind plan at this, but our, efforts and the way things kind of blew up on social media, it took us a little while just to develop systems to where,
Sure.
Just having somebody to answer the phones was a challenge at the beginning because you have an enormous amount of people who are contacting you, and only a small majority of those people, or minority of those people, I should say, are potential customers. There's more people that are looking for a set of plans or whatever. We just didn't have that kind of infrastructure. So as social media stuff really, it became a welcomed burden. I don't know if that's a nice way to say it, but we were happy for it, but we didn't really know what to do with it, especially in the beginning. It did lead to a lot of work, and we had a lot of projects to do, led to some very developmental years for us to really develop to really develop these systems to where we could become better at producing, what we needed to produce. And I always tell people I'm still not in love with our process, but we're working on it weekly. This is something we're constantly trying to make adjustments for. But initially, yes, we had to build a system for quotes, because we'd have hundreds of people who would be calling in wanting us to give them a bid. And some of the people would never even have been in our area, but we couldn't just answer the phone fast enough. And at the time, I didn't want to just pay somebody to answer the phones where I'm paying several $1,000s a month for potential customers.
Right. Wasn't your customer.
And so it was my wife and I and a couple of others, and small business. And so we're just trying to get it going. So we had to built like a Barndo cost calculator where people could go kind of play with the parameters. And still today, I think I don't remember, I want to say 5,000 or 6,000 people have gone on there and got a quote over the last few years. And then we had to formulate, of course, we try to use videos to explain and to lead people down the paths of understanding for our process. The videos are the way to go, because a long time ago I read a book by Robert Kiyosaki. You probably read the same, but it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think one of them said, just do it once, or just do it was the name of the title, a chapter. I can't remember which part, but he talked about how they used a video in the store to sell products instead of standing there all day. I just always remembered that, but now I've thought about that with the social media.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. You might not know it, but that book is mentioned if I've done nearly 2,000 podcasts, probably on a quarter of the shows.
Wow.
It comes up. In fact, I hired Robert to come speak at one of our masterminds a little while back. So He's probably one of the most influential people to help them get into business, like not necessarily wherever they've gone from there, but for people to just realize that I need to build something that can pay me for a lifetime. I
think it's a switch of the mind, of the thinking, and definitely spoke out to me. You might be surprised by this, but I tried to really go all in on real estate investing years back. Did a Ron LeGrand
I know Ron
course. Tried to do some coaching there. I never just got very far. I did do some flips in real estate. I've done several over the years. Never made any big mistakes there. I always say anytime I bought real estate was a good thing for me. But so I'm fortunate in that. But I wanted to be a big time real estate investor. That's really what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because there's probably a lot of real estate investors listening to this that want to do what you're doing. So
Well,
the grass is not necessarily greener.
it isn't, right? And you work with what you've been dealt, but like we're really blessed, with the direction we've went. A lot of it has to do with favor, and I believe the sovereignty of God, who gives you the talents and the abilities to do, and orders your steps into things. And that's what I have to give credit to on this business, because I tried to do things ambitiously early on that didn't do so well.
Yeah. Well, that's how evolution works, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's an element of evolution here too, of just like I tried something and I learned and I pivot, and sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit for all the mistakes you made, and that there was a silver lining in a lot of those too, right?
Every one of them is a silver lining, because you would see the red line that goes through it all of how you were picking up skills to maybe market, or I was just pulling through some old video and footage actually on the way here or earlier today, because we did a collaboration with another channel, and they were asking for some of this documentation from back when, and I was pulling up stuff from like 15, 20 years ago where I've got a camera in front of my face and I'm talking about changing pipe flashings on a roof. It's like, boy, I had no idea this was going to be like an everyday
where
thing.
That would take you,
and it was just natural, right? You're just doing what you're naturally, what you see as the need, and how that can grow and become something what you're accustomed to doing.
Yeah, that's great.
So
thanks for spending some time with me today. Good to see you.
Man, I'm thrilled to be here. I always I'm always a yes guy when it comes to stuff like this, because I think that's the Gary Vee side. It's like, well, opportunities, you don't know what's through the door till you walk through it. And so, I'm excited to be here, and, love to be back.
Yeah.
So,
well, you have some amazing content. So give us some links where folks can learn more about you and maybe some of your social platforms.
So we have most of this all you can find off of our main website, which is texasbestbarndo.com. If we want to keep it simple, that's probably the best way. We've tried to steer everything through there, but you can find like our Barndo cost calculator there, our plan site, which we now sell house plans for Barnominiums there at bestbarndoplans.com. If you go directly there, you can find them there, or on the website at texasbestbarndo.com.
Okay, awesome.
So,
and folks should try to find your YouTube channel, see some of your content.
I hope they'll check it out.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us today. There's a lot of, one of the things that I like to say about entrepreneurs is our widgets might be different, but we all have a lot of the same issues, a lot of mindset issues, cash flow issues, team building issues. We all want to work less and make more money, and we're all ultimately on the same journeys. Hope you guys got some good value from today's show. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.